Next up is your little baggie with the clamp-on parts, which has parts number 6 through 10. When you open this up, it's a little more intimidating than the last bag. But it's not so bad. You've got 2 clamps. You've got 2 little rubber inserts that go in those clamps. You've got 2 Allen wrenches. That's a 2mm and a 3mm Allen wrench. Those are the only tools you need to install this. You've then got 4 set screws, 2 main screws, and 2 little spacers. So, first thing you're going to do is pick up these main clamps. And you'll see that there is a receiving slot inside that main clamp for these 2 wedge-shaped pieces of metal. So you're going to slide that wedge in, and I always get a little confused about which direction it goes here. Okay. The most complicated part of this is putting the little wedge into the clamp. And if you look at the wedge, it's got 2 indentations on one side and a single indentation on the other. So, the side with the 2 indentations faces toward the outside of the clamp. You'll see holes for 2 matching set screws that'll have to slide in there. You'll also see that this wedge has an angled end and a flat end. Now, the angled end of this piece should go in toward the curve inside the clamp. Now, once you've got that into place, the 2 indentations on the opposite side of that wedge are going to line up with the 2 holes for set screws. So we're then going to take these little set screws, and there's a hole in one end for an Allen wrench, and the other end is solid. You're going to put the solid end into the hole and screw it down so that you'll be able to tighten it from there. We do the same with the second set screw. If you have trouble holding onto these with your fingers, because your fingers are the size of mine, you can actually take the Allen wrench that's included and drop it into the end of the set screw so that it's a little bit easier to handle. So once you've got those 2 set screws and the spacer in there, you've got to decide what to do with this rubber piece. And what this rubber piece does is it holds onto your original screen without actually cracking it. There is a little finger or a raised bump on one side of this piece. And that little finger fits into the little hole in that wedge that I showed you earlier. So that one hole should be facing that one little finger. So we'll match that up, slide it in. And at this point, your assembly should look like this. A clamp with 2 set screws coming out and a little rubber thingy. So, if you've gotten this far, you're ready to attach the clamp to your windscreen. So, what you're going to do is you are going to turn this thing around so that the bottom open end of your clamp is facing downhill, because most people's windscreens are below them, not above them. And you're going to take this attachment screw, the only long screw in the kit, and drop it in to the hole from above. You can tell that you're going to come in from this end because the surface here is flat. The surface on the other end is curved. You want the head of the bolt to go down onto a flat surface, not a curved surface. So we'll wiggle that around until it indexes in. You'll use the larger of the 2 Allen wrenches. To tighten this up. So on the other side of this, you'll repeat the process. Probably a little faster this time. So we'll take this wedge piece, slide it in. We'll take our set screws, put them into the little holes. And then we'll take that rubber piece and drop it in again with the little point on this side facing towards the receiving hole in the clamp. Now that you're this far, you line that up with the receiving part. It's connected to the dog bone. Wiggle this around until the screw is lined up. And then you finish tightening that down with the Allen wrench. Now at this point, you're ready to drop this onto your original screen. What you'll do is you'll line up the slots in these clamps. You'll just drop that right down onto your original screen. Once it's in place and it's centered, you're going to take the smaller of the two Allen wrenches and tighten up these set screws so that it increases the clamping force on the original screen. You're going to want to tighten that up to the point where it's keeping the screen from moving around, but it's not so tight that you start to crack your original screen. Handyman tight. So if you're doing the clamp-on installation, you're pretty much all done at this point.